All right, well, good afternoon, drivers, and welcome to episode 9 of Inside Trucking. Today is Sunday, October 26, 2025, and I am your host, James Lamb, SBTC Executive Director, Small Business in Transportation Coalition. I hope you like our new introduction that we just put into effect. That's our new moniker, I guess you would say, for Inside Trucking. All right, let's get into it. So this episode is called "Another 3 Americans Killed This Week by an Illegal Immigrant Trucker." Enough is enough, Mr. Secretary, with all due respect, Secretary Duffy. That's the name of this episode. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Remember last Sunday, when I was all bent out of shape because another illegal immigrant trucker who does not speak proficient English, Borko Stankovic, I think is his name. He killed somebody in Indiana last week, right? So last Sunday, I'm all bent out of shape, another person dead, right? That was on top of the other 10, right, that we know of, that died in Texas and Alabama and in Florida, all because of illegal immigrant truckers who apparently don't know how to drive in the United States. And now I have to report 3 more people, American citizens, are no longer with us like they were last Sunday. They're dead. And they're dead because of another illegal immigrant trucker. I don't even know what to say here at this point. But we have some hope. So let's get into it here, okay? Look, first of all, there's one problem here that is above all other problems. And that problem is you, Governor Newsom, Mr. Gavin Newsom, who's allowing this to go on, who's not following federal orders, who's not enforcing out of service like the President of the United States has directed you to, sir. You're not getting control of your CDL program. Ooh, now all of a sudden, yeah, no more non-domiciled CDLs, right? Yeah. Well, a little bit too late. There's been 3 different things that we should talk about. In August, right, Secretary Duffy pleaded with you, Governor Newsom, and said, please fix this and get the show on the road here, because there's some nonconformity going on under Chapter 311, 49 U.S. Code, Chapter 311. And in September, he sent you another letter, Secretary Duffy, Governor Newsom. And then he said, under Chapter 313, which is another motor carrier safety law, another chapter of laws, he said, now we got a problem with you because of this 25% illegal issuance of non-domicile CDLs to illegal immigrants. 25%, 1 out of 4. We have an issue with you now under another chapter of the law. It's the next chapter, actually. It's 49 USC, right? Chapter 313. And so he sent you another letter, right? He gave you 30 days. And then in October, middle of October, he follows up on that first letter that he sent you, and he says, you know what? You're not getting with the program here. And so I'm going to take away $40 million from you. But that's not enough to get your attention, Governor. And so he gave you 30 days to fix this problem. And you know what you did? Not only did you not fix the problem, but you exacerbated the problem, made it worse. And now 3 more people are dead. This time, it's an illegal immigrant by the name of Jashanpreet Singh from Yuba City, California. He's a citizen of India, and he's here illegally. He's 21 years old, and he's been charged with killing these 3 people because he was allegedly under the influence of drugs while he's driving an 80,000-pound rig in California, your state. People dead are citizens and residents, or were, of your state. And now, Mr. Singh is in trouble with the law, right? He's been arrested. Actually, I think he's in the custody of ICE because he's an illegal immigrant. And now he's asking for a court translator. Where have I heard that before? I heard that before somewhere. Well, we'll get to that, right, Governor? We'll get to that in just a moment, okay? So he doesn't speak proficient English. That's how this whole thing started, folks. This started when SBTC went to the Biden administration in 2022, and we said, listen, you people are not enforcing your own rule that says that truck drivers have to speak English. You know how we know? Because Connor Design is dead. That's how. Okay? In 2017. A lot more people. That's up to that point. 2022. We begged you, Secretary Pete, President Biden, FMCSA at the time, to fix it. And we asked you not 3 times, but 4 times. 3 times to you and 1 time to the Inspector General. And nobody wanted to fix this in 2022. And we pointed to the Inspector General's report that said it should be fixed from 2002 at that time, 20 years prior, now 23 years, right? Okay, so this has been going on for 23 years at least, and probably before the FMCSA was even born, going back to the old ICC and Federal Highway and all that kind of stuff, right? But here's the latest news, right? 3 more people are dead. They died Tuesday. I did a video on Sunday, and they died on Tuesday. Now, you're hearing the name Singh, right? Are you getting deja vu? Because I am. And there's a good reason for that. You know why? Remember on August 12th of 2025 when another Singh, Harjinder Singh, killed 3 people in Florida under a California driver license, which he originally got from the state of Washington, after he failed the test 10 goddamn times in 2 months. They gave him a driver license on the 11th time. Ooh, 11th time's a charm, I guess, right? And then California gave him one, right? It's a different guy. He's an illegal immigrant, also doesn't speak English, from India, and his name is Singh. You know, I'm telling my friends and family, I'm like, remember that story I like to tell about how there's this girl that I used to date, right? And her name was Jessica, right? And she was a nice little young lady that had a dog. It was a pug dog, right? And, you know, dated for a while, and then that didn't work out. And so I'm dating again. And the next woman I meet is named Jessica. And she has the same dog. I swear I'm living deja vu. It's a pug. The dog was named something else, and her name was Jessica. So that's what this reminds me of. It reminds me that when you do stupid things over and over again, the universe sends you messages. And Governor, with 2 Singhs within a few months, the universe is sending you a message to comply with the law and the CDL program standards and the orders of the President of the United States and the Secretary of Transportation. This poor man, Secretary Duffy, I gave him a hard time a week or two ago, and I was saying it's your duty to act. You need to act. It's your duty. And then we figured it out. You know what? He wants to act. He's dying to act. This guy's going to act tomorrow. Today's Sunday. I guarantee you this man is going to act tomorrow. In fact, he's alluding to it on Twitter all day long today. He's saying, I'm not going to take another 160 million from you. 40 wasn't enough? 40 million? I'm going to take another 160 million from you. And then I'm going to do some other things that I have in my arsenal. And we know what those things are. You know what those things are? Decertification of authority to issue any CDLs, not just these non-domicile CDLs that are paused under the new rule. All CDLs. We at SBTC, Small Business and Transportation Coalition, asked him to do that in May 27th. Petition for decertification order. We said there's a whole bunch of states. California is one of them. Decertify and defund. And that is what this Secretary of Transportation, God bless this man, is doing tomorrow. I guarantee it. You know why I know? Because the letter that they sent you, Governor, on September 26th of 2025, advising you of preliminary findings of non-compliance, right? So there's two different chapters, there's two different words here, right? Phrases, right? In August, it was non-conformity, chapter 311. And then in September 26th, it was non-compliance with chapter 313, CDL standards, right? One really has to do with like not putting people out of service that you're supposed to under 391.11b2. And the other one has to do with giving driver licenses to people you should not be giving driver licenses to in the first place and putting them on the road. And gosh, somebody should like come up with a bill, right, that has those two things in it and propose it to Congress. Oh, that's right. We did that in March. And now it's called Connor's Law. At least half of it is. The other half, making the tests or making the states test for English proficiency, is coming. It's actually been introduced in the Senate. In fact, there's multiple bills now. I can't even keep up. And Dave Taylor is going to, right after this government shutdown ends, if that ever happens, he's going to basically do a companion bill to that bill. And so there's going to be 4 bills that are all related to the original concept of Connor's Law that we came up with and proposed to every single member of Congress, because we have this service and they take the bill and they distribute it to every member of Congress, right? 535 members of Congress, I think. And all of a sudden, as people started to die, because everybody reacts, right? Instead of preventative, right? We were trying to do preventative stuff back in March. And then all these people started to die. 10 people, right? Up until September. Now 4 more. Within the last 10 days alone. We proposed that. And now, hopefully, it's all going to be combined. It's going to be called Connor's Law, and it's going to wind up in the Surface Transportation Reauthorization legislation in September of 2026. From my mouth to God's ears. We hope that happens, right? But in the meantime, Secretary Duffy's not waiting. He's acting, and he's on it. We brought it to his attention back in March. President picked it up in May when Secretary Duffy went to President Trump. He issued an executive order and put them out of service when you catch them. If they don't speak English. English is our national language and all that stuff. And now, here we are. And now they wrote this September 26th letter. Now here's why that's important, okay? Under the regulations, when they do this, they have to give the state 30 days. and the state has to respond. It's mandatory. It's in the regulations, right? So the letter was written, Part 2, Chapter 313, non-compliance with federal CDL standards. It was written to the governor from FMCSA on September 26th. Count 30 days. You know when 30 days is up? Today, October 26th. We can't find anything publicly that they've responded. May not be available yet. We keep asking Grok, and he keeps saying, nope, not yet, which is funny. And now they have until today. And so tomorrow, either they did it, and they're going to review it, and they're going to act, or they didn't do it, and they're in default. So tomorrow's the day, folks. And Secretary Duffy is talking about this all weekend long. Today, nonstop on Twitter and on Facebook, social media. It's coming, he keeps saying. I'm going to do it. $160 million. It's coming, right? It's coming tomorrow because that's the first business day they can do it after having to give them 30 days. Now, giving them 30 days, that's the rule. 4 more people died during that 30-day period that we know of. Something about a Publix truck. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm afraid to watch the news, folks. I'm afraid to get on the highway with my family, and I'm afraid to watch the news because I'm afraid I'm going to have to tell you about more bad news. So that's where we're at. So today's a very important day. It's the deadline. And tomorrow, you're going to see a lot of action. I guarantee it. And I will be back to do a program on that. But let's talk about this, right? 2 Singhs, both from India, illegal immigrants. They don't speak English proficiently enough. And it's like Groundhog Day, right? I got you, babe, 6 a.m. It's incredible and it's insane. The first Singh, right? Harjinder failed his test 10 times in 2 months. And then they gave it to him. All of a sudden, he found Jesus and was able to pass. I don't think so. I don't think so. That's the guy who did the illegal U-turn on the Florida Turnpike. Official use only. And his dumbass thought he could squeeze in that little space that is meant only for ambulances and police a tractor trailer. And he got stuck and he killed 3 people. Just like his counterpart killed 3 people in California on Tuesday. Now, that's not bad enough. You know what happened the day before Tuesday? There's a group of woke lawyers, and they're affiliated with this group called Public Citizen. And they filed a lawsuit against Secretary Duffy's emergency rule. And they did it on Monday, the day before these 3 people were killed by Mr. Singh. And they went to the Court of Appeals. Rivera Lujan versus FMCSA is the name of the case, in case you want to look it up. Look up Rivera Lujan, Lujan versus FMCSA, Public Citizen. They filed on behalf of 2 unions. It's not the trucker union. It's not the Teamsters. It's the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, so it's a government employee union, and the American Federation of Teachers. So Public Citizen is filing this suit on behalf of those 2 organizational clients, unions. And what they're saying is asylum seekers, refugees, and Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, you hear about that in the news from time to time, those recipients, DACA recipients, and illegal immigrants can no longer get CDLs because of this rule, which is based on a regulation that's been on the books for a very long time, folks. It's not something that Donald Trump created. They're enforcing the regulation that says to qualify to have a CDL, you got to either be an actual U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. And you want to talk about the rule for English language proficiency that kind of goes with it at this point, hand in hand, right? 391.11b2. That goes back to 1936. President Trump was born in like 1946. So these people are saying this is all him and his prejudices against ethnicities and immigrants. Please. Yeah, they're not going to be able to drive because they're not supposed to drive in the first place. 200,000 are anticipated to be thrown out of service. Oh, there's your driver shortage that has never existed before. That might actually start to exist, ATA. So good news. You might be right now soon. Okay. Why are these unions involved in this? These are not truckers. This is like, government employees, and this is like teachers. You know why? Because these people are not going to be able, these illegal immigrants are not going to be able to drive your children in a school bus anymore. Oh no. What are we going to do? You shouldn't be driving my children to begin with, or your children, or anybody's children, because you're not supposed to be here. And if you're here, you're not supposed to have a CDL. So this is like a nuisance lawsuit, folks. Now, we are so upset about this lawsuit because now we finally have a Secretary of Transportation who's picking up the ball and running with it. And these people are trying to stop it. They're trying to stop all of the progress that SBTC and ATU and all these other organizations and influencers and advocates have been pushing for now all year long, right? And again, we've been doing it since 2022, based on Inspector General's report of 2002. We've been doing this a long time, 3.5 years. Now the Inspector General, all of a sudden, after all these deaths, are going to audit FMCSA and see if maybe they should be making the states test for English proficiency like they said back in 2002. Wow, that's a great idea. I wish I had thought of it. Oh, I did. I asked you in 2022, Inspector General, and you blew me off. And you said, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. And then somebody said, yeah, well, maybe we'll do it in like the next 5-year plan, right? Well, now you're doing it. Okay, great. Too little, too late, once again. So we're so upset by this that we held an emergency meeting of the SBTC Board of Directors. And what we did is we voted to file a brief with the court in this lawsuit. It's called an amicus or amicus, depending on who you talk to. Friend of the court brief is what it really is. And so we are going to support Secretary Duffy, and we are going to support US DOT, and we are going to support FMCSA. Don't have a heart attack, Larry Meyer. We are going to support this administration in its attempt to fix this. And so we're going to file in support of the rule, the emergency rule, because it's needed. And it's not just being pulled out of thin air. It's predicated on an existing long-term regulation that says you have to be a citizen or a lawful permanent resident in order to get a CDL. So this whole thing is out of control. It's mostly the governor of California who's being defiant as his own residents are getting killed on the road by these people that he gave a license to. And then there's these other organizations, these woke organizations who want to undo the progress that we have just gotten done through this administration. Blows my mind. We're not going to sit idly by, public citizen, and let you do this to America. So watch for our brief. It's coming soon. Now, we've also reached out to the safety advocates. We've reached out to the Truck Safety Coalition, Zach Callahan over there. And we've said, this is a war on highway safety. You guys are the safety advocates. So we're going to do this filing. We sure would like to see you guys do a filing too. And I guess they're thinking about it at the moment because I haven't gotten a firm response as to whether they're going to do that. So maybe you all should check in with the Truck Safety Coalition @ Truck Safety Org, O-R-G. Why don't you tweet them? We've already done so. And why don't you ask them, you guys are all about safety, why don't you try to thwart this attack on safety? Sounds like a good thing to do in accordance with your mission statement, doesn't it? Come on, Zach. I hope you step up. Okay. So now, here it is, the deadline. Sunday, October 26, 2025. And we are again calling on the Secretary. And I don't think I have to push too hard, because this guy's itching to do this. We're calling on him to decertify the state of California's CDL authority tomorrow, October 27th, pursuant to our May 27th petition for just that, an order of decertification and defunding. That's what we asked for, and that's what we're asking him to do. So we're hoping that he'll do that tomorrow. And we also want to remind everybody that we also have a letter, actually it's two petitions, 3 really, but 2 for California, asking Attorney General Pam Bondi to commence a federal RICO investigation. People are dead, Justice Department. And we need to investigate this. We need to know what's going on. We need to know how this guy in Washington all of a sudden magically passed on the 11th time. Wow. We need to know why this kid who was under the influence of drugs and killed 3 people named Singh, illegal immigrant, on Tuesday, we have to ask, why did he still have a license after the September 26th letter of non-compliance? Why? He was supposed to have his license taken away. You know what happened? They upgraded him instead, because he turned 21 like a few days before the accident, like 5 days before the accident or something like that. Happy birthday, by the way, Mr. Singh. Congratulations on your illustrious career as a truck driver, killing 3 people. They upgraded him. They should have called him in, and they should have taken that license away when he was expecting to get upgraded, because, 21, now you can go interstate, right? And the restrictions are removed. They should have called him in under the guise of, we're going to remove your restrictions, and then when he shows up with his license, they were supposed to take his license away and say, well, surprise, we are removing your restrictions. We're removing your license altogether because it's a non-domiciled license and you're not allowed to have it anymore. But you didn't do that, Governor. California Department of Motor Vehicles. No, you let him fly. And he killed 3 people in California. Unbelievable. So that's what's going on, folks. We're all on pins and needles and pins, as they used to say on the Honeymooners, right? Ralph Cramden, trying to stay calm. There's not enough Valium in my medicine cabinet to keep me calm, as you can see, because people are continuing to die at the hands of California Governor Gavin Newsom. Shame on you, sir. Shame on you and your obstructionist policies and your defiance and your nonconformity and your noncompliance. And I don't even know what to say about you. California, if you don't deal with this guy and get rid of this guy, then whatever happens is on you, right? Truck drivers are going to want to get a CDL soon, like on Wednesday, and probably not going to be able to, because they're going to be decertified. You're going to have to move. You're going to have to move to Nevada or Oregon or New Mexico. So stupid. All because one guy wants to be pig-headed and won't do what he's told in reference to a federal program. It's federal preemption. The president and the secretary tell you what to do. And if you don't do it, and people die, not only are you vicariously liable, in my opinion, for those deaths, if I were those families of those people. I'd be after your ass. Oh man, I'd take your mansion. Not only are you required to do this, but you're supposed to follow the orders, and you're not. And you should be doing it just because it's the right thing to do, man. You know? You just want to play games with Trump and the federal government. All you Democrats seem to be doing that, right? Because we need to make sure we have health care for sing and sing, right? I posted something on Twitter, tried to make a joke to make myself feel better. And I said, you know where these two guys belong? Sing and sing? In Sing Sing. How about that? So that's all I got, folks. That's all I got for this Sunday. Thanks for hearing me rant and rave. And let's just pray that some good news comes down the pike tomorrow. I'm James Lamb. This is Inside Trucking. And I look forward to getting you some good news soon. Take care, everybody. Have a good week. Have a safe week. Let's hope nobody else dies while they're trying to sort this out from the hands of these illegal immigrant truckers. And let's hope that we can all move forward and work together to help make the roads safe again. See you next time.